Planning and Administration of Secondary Education, MAT Question Paper Analysis, organized by the Center for Civil Services and TNPC Coaching of Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University. It's my great pleasure and it's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to you all. For your presence makes us very happy. It's my great pleasure and honor to welcome our resource person, Dr. T. Malliga ma'am, Principal of Vellalar College of Education. I am so proud and happy to welcome you, ma'am. Now I would like to express my gratitude to our Vice Chancellor, sir, Dr. N. Panjanadam sir, Registrar sir, Controller of Examinations, all HODs and professors who are all supports of TNTU. I would like to welcome our Program Coordinator, Dr. N. Ramakrishnan sir, Member Syndicate, Professor and Head, Department of Educational Technology, TNTU. Welcome you, sir. I would like to welcome and extend my thanks to all the principals, teacher educators from various colleges. Once again, I welcome you for this section. Now may I invite Dr. T. Malliga ma'am to take over this section.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Is it visible now? It is visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it's visible, ma'am.
Like start now, no? My
okay, ma'am.
Clear.
Clear, ma'am. Clear, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Divya.
Thank you, ma'am.
The Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University Center for Civil Services and TNPSC Coaching Center, under the head of Dr. N. Ramakrishnan, Professor and Head, Department of Education Technology, for giving me this opportunity to take planning and administration of secondary education paper discussion in the online platform. Thank you, sir. And also a warm good morning to one and all present here to listening my words regarding planning and administration of secondary education. First, we will see the first unit of what is planning and administration of secondary education. எதுக்காக நம்ம இந்த பேப்பரை படிக்கணும்? Planning and administration. Is it in MA? In olden days, it is in the B.Ed curriculum as an elective paper there. But in this university, we took this paper as a in M.Ed course. As a teacher educator, you should know about how to know the secondary education administration purpose, how to plan the educational system and everything. And the first unit comprises of introduction to secondary education. Then as a teacher educator, you should know what are the education system that is followed in our Indian system of education. Just wait now. Visible, ma'am? Right.
Ma'am?
Is it visible now? My slide?
Yes, ma'am. Visible, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, fan sound, ma'am. Some disturbance, ma'am. Chat box லையும் போட்டுருக்காங்க, ma'am.
நான் பார்த்தேன் first some not clear அப்படின்னு கொடுத்துருங்க.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Comprises of introduction of secondary education. The second unit consists of historical perspective, how the secondary education develops based on various committees from the year of 1952 to till date, how the committees are working, how the committees are functioning, what are the previous committees regarding this. The third unit comprises of comparative education of secondary education, how the UK, US, Russia and China, Finland and Japan education system. We should know first what are the types of education systems that is available in various countries. As a teacher educator, we should know about the various country's from administration. Okay. Then the fourth unit comprises of governors of secondary education, who is under the control of secondary education, and that is central government agencies, state government agencies, as well as the local bodies. The fifth unit comprises of planning of secondary education, how it is planned, how the education is planned based on the secondary education. Okay, the next sixth unit comprises of organization development, how it is developed. The secondary education is developed in a present system of education. The fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh one, who are the funding agencies for developing and monitoring the secondary education system. That is, every 5-year plan giving importance to education system under the control of MHRD department. Then next one is what are the technology-based integration in secondary education system that comprises of 7th, 8th unit. The 9th unit is the curriculum plan of every 10 years. The government has conducted a curriculum framework, that is new education policy like that. We have seen the Rashtriya Madhya Shiksha Abhiyan and RMSA, NUPA, how they have developed, how it is running. These are dealt by 9th unit. In the 10th unit, what are the different types of schools available, that is visually impaired children, they have separate schools, multiple disability school, autism schools, various schools are there. The 10th unit dealt about this one. First we will see about the first unit. The first unit is the secondary education. What is secondary education? Why should we know? Why should we need of learning about secondary education? The meaning of secondary education is normally takes place in the secondary schools, that it starts from 6th standard to 12th standard, we call it a secondary education. From 10th up to 10th we call it a secondary, after that we have higher secondary. But it comprises of from 6th to 12th standard education is we call it as secondary education. It takes place after primary, that is after 1 to 5th, it has been known as secondary education or vocational training. It develops the mentally, socially, morally, physically and spiritually the development of the children. It promotes positive environment and health practices. It creates positive environment. இப்போ தான் கவர்மெண்ட் வந்து ஒரு பாலிசி எடுத்திருக்காங்க 2000ல. There is equal education for all. எல்லாருக்கும் கல்வி கிடைக்கணும். முன்னெல்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 6th to 12th வரைக்கும் அந்த ஃபெயிலியர்ஸ் அந்த மாதிரி பாஸ் அப்படின்றதெல்லாம் இருக்கும். அந்த 10th and 12th தவிர மீதில் எல்லாத்துலேயும் இந்த அப் டு 6th to 9th கொஞ்சம் ஆல் பாஸ் இதெல்லாம் கொண்டு வந்தது எல்லாமே இந்த செகண்டரி எஜுகேஷன் கமிஷன் 2000ல ரிவைஸ் பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான். இப்போ நாங்களாம் படிக்கிற காலத்தில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 6, 7, 8, 9லாம் ஃபெயிலியர்ஸ் இருப்பாங்க. அந்த ட்ராப் அவுட்ஸ் இருக்கிறது ஆல் ஷுட் ஹேவ் அன் எஜுகேஷன், ஆல் ஷுட் கெட் அன் எஜுகேஷன் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு பாலிசி அவங்க வச்சதுனால தான், ஈக்குவலைசேஷன் எஜுகேஷன் கொடுக்கறதுனால தான் இந்த மாதிரிலாம் ஒரு பிளான் ஒன்று கொண்டு வந்தாங்க. அதான் இந்த எய்ம்ஸ் அண்ட் அப்ஜெக்டிவ்ஸ் ஆஃப் this education is education for all, production of rights, identification of skills, production of rights. Each and everyone should have a right to get an education, that is RT. Then identification of skills, then development of social consciousness, then prepare for new challenges, development of brotherhood to improve the quality of education. These are the aims and objectives of secondary education. The another aim is acquire the necessary knowledge and skills, attitudes for the development of the self and the nation. நம்ம knowledge develop பண்ண நம்மளுக்கு மட்டும் இல்லாமல் நம்மளை சுற்றி இருக்கிறதும் தெரிஞ்சுக்கணுன்றதுக்காக தான் இந்த செகண்டரி எஜுகேஷன் சிஸ்டம் கிரியேட் பண்ணுது. Then promote positive environment and health practices. The next one is develop ability for inquiry, critical thinking and rational judgment. What, when, where அப்படிங்கிற அந்த கான்செப்ட் எல்லாம் கிரியேட் பண்ணுறதுக்காக they are conducting this secondary education system. Then identify the individual talents and develop them. These are all the aims and objectives of secondary education. This is a very important question, the first topic. The next one is nature and scope of secondary education. What is the nature and scope? According to the International Encyclopedia of Teacher and Teacher Education in 1987, what are the new nature and scope of secondary education? The teacher education can be considered in 3 phases, that is pre-service, induction and in-service. The 3 phases are considered as a part of continuous process. Teaching is considered as the art and science. The teacher has to be acquired not only knowledge but also skills. They are all tricks of the trade. That is, not only for learning everything, we have a knowledge or skill. We have to develop a skill to apply the skill. This is the main nature and scope of secondary education. Then teacher education is broad and comprehensive. Besides the pre-service and in-service programs for teachers, it is meant to be involved in various community programs and extension activities, adult education, non-formal education programs, literacy and development activities of the society. The second one is secondary education structure. How the secondary education, pre-primary education 3 to 5 years. Then primary education level is 6 to 10. At the age of 3 to 5 you have a primary education. Then next level is 6 to 10. That is 5th to 5th standard. It starts from 1st standard to 5th standard. Then middle school, that is 8th standard. Then 11 to 3 years what we get in education is called middle school education. Then secondary education, higher secondary level, then higher level. After college education is called it as higher education level. And these are the scope and structure. That is the structure is nothing but the previous slide la pathana the structure of secondary education. Then historical perspective. In the first unit the questions are like that. Write the aims and objectives of secondary education. And then scope of secondary education and recommendation of various committees. Then structure. What we have seen in the previous slide is called structure of secondary education. The next one is his second unit. We are discussing about second unit, that is historical perspective of secondary education. What is historical perspective? The Secondary Education Commission made the recommendation of Secondary Education Commission in 52 and 53. They recommended that organization pattern of secondary education, how it is. Then organization of secondary school curriculum, எப்படிலாம் ரெடி பண்றாங்க அப்படிங்கறது அந்த ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன்ஸ்ல கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. Textbooks, how the textbook should be, that is Tamil, English, the language, 3 language formula, 2 language formula. Then subjects remaining social, science, then science, math, like that. Then methods of teaching, what kind of methods we are going to adopt in teaching. Then discipline, how they maintain the discipline. Moral and religious education, the MI period in the school and the Marilla, the subcommittee recommend. Then supervision and inspection, guidance and counseling. Then the committee recommended by Malliga in the year 1978, in the observation of the report, the committee appointed the Minister of Education in the Government of India in 1977 under the chairmanship of Malliga to consider the curriculum for vocationalization of higher education in India. இப்போ நிறைய பாத்தீங்கன்னா அந்த 1977ல வந்து சில system of vocational education nowadays eradicated because அதுல யாரும் படிக்க வராதனால அப்பெல்லாம் வந்து இந்த தறி work பண்றது அதெல்லாம் vocationalization education இருக்கு. அது agriculture, இப்போ யாரும் கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்க கூட மாட்டீங்க. Agriculture is one of the vocationalization of education at higher secondary level. Nowadays இதெல்லாம் இல்ல இப்போ நம்மளோட higher education systemல. அந்த மாதிரி அதெல்லாம் Malliga கமிட்டி 1977ல இந்த மாதிரி கமிட்டிஸ் ஃபாலோ பண்ணாங்க. என்னென்னலாம் கொடுத்தாங்க. The Alsatia founded the Tamil Nadu Board of Continuing Education in 1976 and took all steps to sustain and advance its activities. He was the president for 4 terms. He chaired the Non-Formal Education Curriculum Preparation Committee in 1986. He was a member of UGC Standing Committee also. Then this is the committee that is explained by 1952 by Malliga. After that, the committee is revised by 1977 to 78 by Ishwarbai Patel. The Government of India appointed a committee of education under the head of Dr. Ishwarbai Patel, the Vice Chancellor of Gujarat University. And the commission was asked to review the existing syllabus, courses and textbooks for the secondary stages of school education. The scheme of the curriculum has 3 main components. They are giving importance to SUPW, that is socially useful productive work. They also laid an emphasis on cultural recreational aspects of work experience. In work experience present. The next committee is National Policy on Education. That is under the chairmanship of our former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. In 1986 introduced the National Policy on Education. The new policy is called Special Emphasis on the Removal of Disparities and Equal Educational Opportunities. எல்லாத்துக்கும் கல்வி கிடைக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு இது எஸ்பெஷலி ஃபார் இந்தியன் விமென்க்கு நிறைய ஷெட்யூல்டு காஸ்ட் அண்ட் ஷெட்யூல்டு ட்ரைப்ஸ்ல எல்லாம் அந்த மறுக்கப்பட்ட கல்வியை கொடுக்கணுன்றதுக்காக தான் under the chairmanship of our former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi introduced the National Policy on Education. The need of national education policy is qualitative development of education, then enhancement of percentage of literacy, checking of brain drain, implementation of என்ன நம்மகிட்ட இருக்கோ அதை கொட்டுறது மாதிரி, that is called brain train. What we have learned, அந்த என்ன பண்ணமோ அதை எக்ஸாம்ஸ்ல கொடுக்கறது, that is called brain train. Then implementation of free and compulsory education, அப்பதான் கொண்டு வந்தாங்க 86ல தான் free and compulsory education. Then removal of wastage and stagnation education. அந்த wastage எதுக்கு அடிக்கடி இந்த 9 to 7 6ல சொன்ன குழந்தைங்க படிச்சு புரிய முடியலன்னா என்ன பண்ணிட்டு ஃபெயில் அனௌன்ஸ் பண்ணிட்டாங்க. அதனால they have removed the wastage and stagnation. அப்போ அந்த குழந்தைகளோட படிப்பு பாதிக்கப்படுதுன்றதுக்காக இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு கமிட்டி நேஷனல் எஜுகேஷன் பாலிசி ஃப்ரேம் பண்ணி அதோட சில அப்ஜெக்டிவ்ஸ் இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணாங்க. தென் நெக்ஸ்ட் மாடர்னைசேஷன் ஆஃப் கரிக்குலம் அண்ட் இம்ப்ரூவ்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் எஜுகேஷன் சிஸ்டம், மாடர்னைசேஷன் பண்ணுறது. தென் மெரிட்ஸ் ஆஃப் நேஷனல் பாலிசி அண்ட் எஜுகேஷன். இப்போ என்ன ஆச்சு, அந்த மாதிரி ஸ்டாக்னேஷன் லெஃப்ட் அவுட் ஆகிடுச்சு. அப்போது நம்மளுக்கு அந்த ட்ராப் அவுட்ஸ் இல்லாமல் போயிட்டாங்க. தென் நேஷனல் சிஸ்டம் ஆஃப் எஜுகேஷன் ஆல் ஓவர் இந்தியா உங்களுக்கு ஒரே டைப் ஆஃப் எஜுகேஷன் சிஸ்டம், யூனிஃபார்ம் பேட்டர்ன் ஆஃப் எஜுகேஷன், நேஷனல் கோர் கரிக்குலம், காமன் கரிக்குலம் இப்படி தான் இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு 2 language or 3 language அந்த ஃபார்மலாக யூனிஃபார்மாக கொண்டு வந்தாங்க. அடுத்த டீலிங்கிங் டிகிரி ஃப்ரம் ஜாப். இப்போ நீங்கள் ஹையர் செகண்டரி எஜுகேஷன், ஹையர் செகண்டரி எஜுகேஷனில் இருக்க அந்த கோர்ஸஸ், ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் +1 என்ன படிக்கிறோமோ தட் இஸ் ஆர் டீலிங்கிங் டிகிரி ஃப்ரம் job. Then establishment of Navodaya schools in 86 மேல தான் என்ன பண்ணிருக்காங்க, நவோதயா ஸ்கூல்ஸ் கொண்டு வந்திருக்காங்க. Then role of central government, financial suggestions, equalization of educational opportunities, then encouraging talent and efficiency, Indian education service, then vocational education. Then program of act in 1992 under the national policy on education encouraged to conduct a common entrance examination all India basis for admission to professional and technical program in the country in 86. அப்பதான் பாத்தீங்கன்னா 90sல 86க்கு அப்புறம் 90sலாம் இன்ஜினியரிங்லாம் என்ட்ரன்ஸ், அந்த என்ட்ரன்ஸ் எக்ஸாமினேஷன் பாஸ் பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் அடுத்த நம்ம காலேஜஸ்ல என்ட்ரி ஆக முடியும். இப்போ இருக்க நீட் மாதிரி சரிங்களா. தட் இஸ் ஆல்சோ ஒன் ஆஃப் த ஆஸ்பெக்ட் ஆஃப் திஸ் நேஷனல் பாலிசி அண்ட் எஜுகேஷன். The second next one is Central Advisory Board of Education Service CABE Committee and Universalization of Secondary Education. எல்லாத்துக்கும் கிடைக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறது 2005 they framed the policy. The guiding principles of universal secondary education, universal access, that is it has given to all the people irrespective of the place, irrespective of the gender, irrespective of the community. Then equality and social justice. This is the main principle of Central Board of Secondary Education. Then norms for schooling to be developed for each state with common national parameters. அந்த ஸ்டேட்டுக்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி நம்ம அந்த எஜுகேஷன் சிஸ்டம்ஸ் அவங்க கொண்டு வர ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க. Then pressure on secondary education being felt and it will not be wise to wait till 2010. Then financial requirement for universal elementary and secondary education is 5.1 of gross development ப்ராடக்ட். அதாவது கண்ட்ரியோட ஒரு டெவலப்மெண்ட்டுக்கு என்ன ஃபினான்ஷியல் ரெக்குவயர்மெண்ட் வேணும் அப்படின்னா 5.1 is contributed towards universal elementary and secondary education. MHRD department 5.1% நம்ம இந்தியாவில் எஜுகேஷனுக்காக ஒதுக்கிறது. Then investment towards universal secondary education must be made not later than 2006 and 7. Then next one created by RTA. எல்லாத்துக்கும் கிடைச்சிருக்காங்க செக் பண்ணிக்கிறதுக்காக. The Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act is established in 2009 in the Parliament, which describes the modalities of the importance of free and compulsory education for children between 6 and 14 in India under the Article 21A of Indian Constitution. இது நம்ம இந்திய அரசாணைப்படி அந்த தரத்தில் 21A ஆர்டிக்கிள் அவங்க கொண்டு வந்திருக்காங்க. இது கம்பல்சரி கண்டிப்பாக இருக்கணும் அப்படின்றது, எல்லாத்துக்கும் கிடைக்கணும் எஜுகேஷன் அப்படின்ட்டு. இப்பவும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அந்த ஹில் ஸ்டேஷன் இருக்க குழந்தைகளுக்கு ஃபுட்டு கிடைக்காம நிறைய வேலைக்கு போக ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க இந்த கோவிட் டைமில் அப்படிங்கிறது நியூஸ் நிறைய நீங்கள் கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்க நியூஸ் பேப்பர்ஸில். இந்த மாதிரி இவ்வளோ எஜுகேஷன் கொடுத்தோம் டியூ டு பாவர்ட்டி தேர் கோயிங் ஃபார் அவங்கள திருப்பி ரொம்ப நாள் நீங்கள் இழுத்தீங்க அப்படின்னா அந்த ட்ரைபல் சில்ட்ரன்ஸ் எல்லாம் திரும்ப எஜுகேஷன் கொண்டு வரது ரொம்ப கஷ்டம் அப்படிங்கிறது அந்த ஏரியாவிலேருந்து ரெப்ரசென்ட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. சரிங்க. அப்போ ட்ரைபல் ஸ்கூல்ஸ் இருக்குது, பட் ட்ரைபல் டீச்சர்ஸ் அப்பாயின்மெண்ட் பண்ணுறது கிடையாது. நம்ம ஆளுங்க ஹில் ஸ்டேஷன் போடுறாங்க, அவங்க கொஞ்சம் நாளைக்கு மேலே ட்ரான்ஸ்ஃபரில் வந்துடுறாங்க. ஸோ தெர் இஸ் அ வேக்கன்ட் இன் ஹில்ஸ் ஏரியா. ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி இடத்துல நம்ம இந்த ரைட் டு எஜுகேஷன் கொடுத்தா கூட, என்ன ஃப்ரீ அண்ட் கம்பல்சரி எஜுகேஷன் கொடுத்தா கூட சில நாளில் ஆக்ட் பண்ண முடியாமல் சிச்சுவேஷன்ஸ் கிரியேட் ஆகுது. ஸோ த மெயின் அப்ஜெக்டிவ் ஆஃப் RTA Act is to ensure each child in India receives quality elementary education irrespective of their economic condition or caste background, those who are forced to drop out from schools. So இதுதான் வந்து நம்ம RTA main thing 2009. So these are the எப்படிலாம் எஜுகேஷன் இது வரைக்கும் so far developed initially by Malcolm Aditya before that pre-independence period for secondary education commission. Then later on issued by Patel Committee, the national policy by former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, then action plan, CABE report, right to information, right to education act. இதுதான் வந்து உங்களுக்கு செகண்ட் யூனிட்ல we have discussed. இதுல பாத்தீங்கன்னா நிறைய questions இருக்கு. I'll explain the questions. What are the recommendations by Malcolm Adiseshaya? Then what are the recommendations of Ishwar Bhai Patel Committee? Then what are the provisions of National Education Policy 1986? Then CABE report on intermediate education for all on 2005. Write about this in detail. Then what are the Right to Education Act in 2009? Then mention the development of secondary education in emerging Indian society. These are all in second unit. Let us see about third unit. Comparative perspective of secondary education. Over countries live, how the education to be. That is secondary education at UK. UK la secondary education, including they have high school in UK, that is 6th form. நம்மலாம் grade அப்படிங்கிறது இப்போ சொல்றோம். அவங்கலாம் வந்து இந்த கிரேட்ங்கிறது they are used the term olden days, that is 6th form அப்படிங்கிறது 6th standard அப்படிங்கிற instead of standard they are using the term form for schooling. 6th grade, 6th class அப்படின்னு சொல்றப்ப 6th form they use it. Last for 5 to 7 years. Then students between 12 to 16 years old are legally required to attend a secondary school in UK. சரிங்களா, அவங்க 6 years அதாவது 12 years ஆகும்போது அவங்க usually it has taken in all over the world, but they are insisting on 12 to 16 years. This stage of compulsory education is called lower secondary education. சரிங்களா, ஒவ்வொரு இடத்துல ஒவ்வொரு மாதிரி நேம் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. That's all. Education system in the UK is divided into 4 main parts: primary education, secondary education, further education and higher education. Then children in the UK have legally attended the primary and secondary education, which runs about, it starts from 5 years until the student is 16 years old. So in the higher education system. Then secondary education is US. How the US pattern of education system. The US, they are following the international standard of central education system they are following. In this secondary education, the United States, in the last 7 years of statutory formal education, that is grade 6, that is from age of 11 to 12, through grade 12, that is age 17 and 18. They are using the term grade. The form is using by UK people, grade is using by US people. Then it is occurs in 2 phases. The first is ISCED, that is International Standard for Centralized Education System. There is lower secondary phase. Then junior high school or middle school for students of grade 6 through grade 8. The secondary school consists of 2 programs. The first one is middle school or junior high school, they call it as. And the second program is high school. After that they have a diploma certificate is offered upon the graduation from high school. In the 12th ன்றதுக்கு பதிலா அவங்க அந்த 12th they are giving a diploma courses. After graduating at high school, that is after passing 12th, you may go on college or university, like that. Same we have also following. That is about US education. Then Russia. How the Russia is conducting secondary education system. It consists of 3 stages corresponding to the age of the children and the learning opportunity. After grade 9, a student can enter a college or technical school or vocational education. Here it is entirely different. There is from 9th standard onwards they have to select their vocational education training. The Russian high school includes 10th and 11th, which is a preparatory stage for a university. Everywhere it happened there. Then general education in Russia comprises of 3 stages. That is primary education will last for 4 years. After that, basic general education lasting for 5 years. Then secondary education which last for 2 or 3 years. We have compulsory 2 years education. They have given 2 to 3 years they are giving. Then general education normally consists of 30 to 34 weeks of study per year and 27 to 36 hours of study per week. And the curriculum framework பண்ணிருக்காங்க. Then China. How the China's education. Basic education in China includes preschool education. The same thing, primary education. Then secondary education. After 6 years, we have secondary education. Then academic secondary education consists of junior college of 3 years and senior middle school of 3 years. This China-based education, they are usually, they don't give a preference. Nowadays, they are giving preference to Chinese language. Before that, they are giving preference to the olden days, they are giving preference to China's education. Mother tongue is China people. Nowadays, they are giving importance to English. The Chinese system of education is divided in 3 years of kindergarten, 5 or 6 years of primary school, then 3 to 6 years of middle school, and often followed by several years of higher education. Then next education system is Finland. We have already seen about US, UK, first UK, then US, then China, like that. There are a lot of countries. The last one is Finland and Japan. The Finland upper secondary school takes 2 to 4 years depending upon the students. After finishing the students, they are eligible to apply to university. That is 2 to 4 years of secondary education they are completing. They have directly entered into college or university education. The universities of applied sciences are upper secondary school based on the vocational education. Then most upper primary schools, secondary schools provide education in Finnish or Swedish language. They are also giving importance to their mother tongue. Then the Finland education system of post-compulsory education consists of 3-year general and vocational upper secondary education and training, general upper secondary to matriculation examination, and vocation to vocational qualification. They are giving importance. Then the last one is Japan. How the Japan education system is. Secondary education, how the Japan secondary education pattern is. Split up into junior high schools, that is which cover 7th through 9th, and senior high school after 9th. That cover 10th through 12th. 10th to 12th that is called senior high schools. That is the Japan education system. Japan school system primarily consists of 6 years of elementary schools, 3 years of junior high school, and 3 years of high school, followed by 2 or 3 years of junior colleges or 4 years of colleges. Even on 3 to 4 years colleges system. There is a compulsory education lasts for 9 years through elementary. They are also giving importance to compulsory education. So far we have seen about the third unit. What kind of system of education UK, that is form system, then America grade system, then Russia, China and Finland. Let us discuss about the questions that they are asking in the third unit. That is, how the education system in Britain, how the US education system, then how they developed in Russia regarding the secondary education commission, secondary education system, then Finland education system, Japan, China. So you have to study thoroughly about all the education system. That is quite helpful for you in future too. If you are going to settle in the US or UK or Japan, in the earlier itself you know about the type of education system that they have followed in that country. Okay. Then unit 4 is governance, how they can maintained by the government. Then central agencies, that is MHRD. Before that they don't have the MHRD, that is Education Department. In the 21st century, that is 19th century, they have created MHRD, the Department of Higher Education. Education is under the Department of Ministry of Higher MHRD. That is responsible for the overall development of the basic infrastructure of higher education sector, both in terms of policy as well as plan. The MHRD is control of higher education. In order to establish India as a knowledge-based society of 21st century, higher education should be an important tool. So, they have created this MHRD. Then after that, another agency of secondary education by Government of India is Central Board of Secondary Education. That is Central Advisory Board of Education. That is CAB. It's one of the highest advisory bodies related to policy making in India. That is how to take policy. In the Mari or committee photo, it is how they are running. It is also provides a platform where the center and the state share the common concerns. The MHRD is the only central government body. The CAB, Central Advisory Board of Education, is the linking platform between both of them. That is both central government as well as state government. They review their common concerns, review and their experiences and envision future policies and programs. They combine together and take decisions for the government of India. Then NCERT, National Council for Educational Research and Training, is an autonomous organization set up in 1961 by the Government of India to assist and advise the central and state government on policies and programs for qualitative improvement in school education. Then after CAB, they have also conducted NCERT. Nowadays, in most of the CBSE schools, they are following the syllabus of NCERT. The next one is CBSE. CBSE, that is Central Board of Secondary Education, is the national level board of education in India for public and private schools controlled by the government, managed by Union Government of India. That CBSE is asked to all schools affiliated to follow only NCERT curriculum. Okay, there is central curriculum, that's all. The state government is giving some curriculum. Like this, the central government is giving in the basis of NCERT curriculum. Then ICSE, that is Indian Certificate of Secondary Education, is an examination conducted by the Council of Indian School Certificate Examinations. It's a private board of secondary education in India. It's a private board. ICSE is costly. It is also a private agency, private board of secondary education. Private candidates are also permitted to appear for examination. That is the ICSE. Then next form of this one is NCVT. This is a full form of National Council for Vocational Training. It is an advisory body that was set up in the year 1956. It is formally called as NCVT. Then Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangadan, that is the control of Kendriya Vidyalaya government schools. That is Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangadan, an autonomous organization established in 1955, has 4-point mission, that is Kendriya Vidyalaya. That is, first one is cater to the education needs of children of transferable central government employees. இப்போ ஸ்டேட் கவர்மெண்ட்ல நம்ம கையோடில் இருக்கோம், ஈரோடில் படிக்கிறோம், நம்ம அதிகமாக ட்ரான்ஸ்ஃபர்ஸ் கிடையாது. இப்போ சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் எம்ப்ளாயி ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இந்த கலெக்டர் யூபிஎஸ்சி எக்ஸாம் எழுதி வரவங்க குழந்தைங்க ஒவ்வொரு டைமும் ஒவ்வொரு ஸ்டேட்டில் ஒரு ஸ்கூல்ஸில் படிச்சுட்டு இருப்பாங்க. தே ஃபீல் டிஃபிகல்ட் டு ஃபாலோ த ஸ்டேட் சிலபஸ். அதுக்காக கிரியேட் பண்ணது அந்த கேந்திரிய வித்யாலயா 1965. wherever they go, they will join Kendriya Vidyalaya at the centers of each and every city. They have central schools. Only central capitals la mattumda once upon a time Kendriya Vidyalaya is there. Nowadays CBSE is following the same curriculum, but it is a government school. That is Kendriya Vidyalaya is nothing but a government school. It is under the control of central government. It is only for defense and paramilitary personnel once upon a time, and also they are giving importance to this state officials. Then teachers working in KVS are highly qualified. They have to clear national level examination and getting selected. They have CTET examination, central TET examination. Then KVS allows only a fixed number of students for admission so that each student can be looked after. They have limited number of admissions. In Erode Coimbatore Kendriya Vidyalaya schools. As a result, the CBSE system enables the teachers to prepare the teaching of various subjects in coherent manner. That is central government school. The KVS, the Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangadan, is a system of premier central government schools in India that are instituted under the agencies of ministry, that is MHRD. Then Government of India, that is in July 19, it has a total of 1235, that is 1235 schools all over the India, and 3 schools are also in abroad. This is one of the world's largest chain of schools. And what is the objective of the school is to couple an equity of social justice, to promote national integration by providing opportunity to talented children, largely rural from different parts of the country, to live and learn together and develop their full potential. The next one is Jawaharlal Navodaya Vidyalaya. It's a system of schools for talented students predominantly from rural area in India. That is Navodaya school. It is significant lies to the selection of talented rural children as a target group and to attempt to provide them with quality education comparable to the best in a residential school system. That is Navodaya school. The National University of Educational Planning and Administration, that is NUPA we call it. It was set up to promote research. After that we have conducted a research. School education research conduct NUPA or agencies on the Government of India create panni. They promote research and training in the field of education and social welfare. It advises, assists the center and state government on academic matters related to school education, NUPA. At the state agency, so far we have seen about the central agency, that is CBSE, CABE, NCERT, CBSE, ICSE, NCVT and Kendriya Vidyalaya. Now we are going to see about the state agencies. What are the state agencies which are available for conducting or control of education system? SCERT, the State Council for Educational Research and Training. Like that National Council NCERT, like that in state they are following SCERT. That that is State Board Education and State Welfare Department. இதெல்லாம் அது பார்த்துக்கிறது அந்த ஸ்டேட் போர்ட்ஸ். சரிங்களா? தென் லோக்கல் பாடிஸ், இதுதான் ஸ்டேட் கவர்மெண்ட் பார்க்குறது. தென் லோக்கல் பாடிஸ் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கார்பரேஷன், முனிசிபாலிட்டி, பஞ்சாயத்து, they is also taking care of secondary education. So far we have seen what are all the governors of secondary education. யார் நம்மள மேனேஜ் பண்றாங்க? Central government, state government as well as local bodies, that's panchayat, corporation and municipalities. So இதுல நீங்க क्वेश्चंस என்ன எதிர்பார்க்கலாம் அப்படினா what are the organization development, what are the functions of that organization, who is the leadership of this, what are the characteristics of headmaster, problem faced by the headmaster, need and importance of research in secondary education. எதுக்காக அந்த நியூ பல research project பண்ணி என்னென்ன ரிசல்ட் கொடுக்குறாங்க. சரிங்களா? these are comes under unit 4. The second and the fifth unit discuss about the planning of secondary education, how it is planned. There are types of educational planning: centralized plan, decentralized plan, and then participatory plan. What is centralized plan? According to Merriam dictionary, what is centralized is nothing but the cluster or to bring about the center. Middle எல்லாரும் concentrate பண்ண authority is we call it a centralized pattern of education system. This centralized organization of all the power or decision making authority lies with the group or individual at the top. யாரோ at the top இருந்து அந்த education system பார்க்கறாங்க. The other members of organization of group then works to carry out the decisions made by the top level leaders. That is called centralized system of education planning. The next one is decentralized. On the other hand, we are making decisions with local context in mind, moving quickly and engaging customers in a way that is more meaningful. That is in decentralized pattern of plan of education. Improves better in terms of decision making as the decisions are taken much closer to the actions. Then what is the difference between centralized? Centralized, the figure shows that one is the topper's person, the other remaining people give information. One is the topper's authority. In the decentralized pattern, they are giving importance to all the persons. That is decentralized pattern of planning. Then participatory education plan is a method where the students are given the opportunity to engage in the process of determining the curriculum so as to incorporate their learning goals into the activities they take part in while promoting the involvement democratic decision making. The students themselves are involved in curriculum planning. There is any type of education system and any pattern they have decided with themselves. That is participatory. That is they are involving in planning, they involving in selecting. The National Open School England பார்த்தீங்களா அதெல்லாம் அவங்க இந்த ஸ்கூல்ஸ் அந்த மாதிரி போகாதவங்க இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு education system they have adopted. Then techniques of education planning, how they can plan based on the micro planning, then meso planning and macro planning. These are the structural approach of education planning. Then macro, micro and meso. The next part is micro. What's three words? Micro. It's the development of relationship between students, teachers and parents. Observation of teachers' roles and responsibilities. Then engagement in teachers' roles and responsibilities. Then meso level. Meso level, whole school planning. This is only between the teacher, students. It's a micro level. The next one is the whole school planning. Then involvement in professional development, understanding the school context, then understanding parameters of teachers' work. That is meso level of planning. Then next one is macro level. It supports vision for future preparation. How the students have developed based on based on this technique, they have giving a guidelines to the governors department. Then benefits for all, extra advanced knowledge in school and community. This is all about what are the planning of secondary education system. That is centralized plan, decentralized plan, participatory plan, and then the techniques of education planning is nothing but micro, macro and meso. Okay. In this they are asking about what are the techniques of educational planning, and then what are the types of education planning. The questions are like that. Then the sixth unit. Now see about the sixth unit. That is organization development and leadership in secondary education. What are the organization development? How this planning is organized. Then HRM, that is human resource management, is the organization function that deals with issues related to people such as compensation, hiring, performance, management, organization development, safety, wellness, benefits, employees' motivation, communication, administration and training. This deals about these things. Then organization development, how organization is developed. It is based on the science-based process that helps the organization build the capacity to change and achieve greater effectiveness by developing, improving, reinforcing strategies, structures and process. What is organization? What is the meaning of organization development? Each and every organization should be developed based on the education. It is a science-based process of development. Then concept. What is the circular concept of organization development? Rewards, skills, structures, relationship, purpose of this organization, then structure of this organization, how the relationship between the teachers, students, that is dealt with, relationship, then leadership, who is under the control of us, then rewards, what are the rewards we are giving nowadays. People couldn't know about best teacher award, இது மாதிரி தான் நமக்கு தெரியுது. அதுக்கப்புறம் கவர்மெண்ட் கொடுக்குற நிறைய awards we are missing. Okay, then mechanism, how they are following this. Then definition of organizational development, how the organization is developed. Collaborating with organization leaders and the groups to create systematic change and root cause problem solving on behalf of improving productivity and employee satisfaction through improving the human process through which they get the work done. அது என்னன்னு தெரிஞ்சு அந்த problem we should identify the root cause, then only it is developed. Then principle and functions of organization development. எப்படி நம்ம அந்த secondary education organization, how they can develop. What are the principles that is required for the development of secondary education? First principle is community development is the process. They are giving importance to community. Then next development, that is community development is a holistic approach for addressing the community's needs. Based on the needs of the community, we are giving education. Then empowerment results from the influence, participation and community education. The next principle is development includes environmental stewardship. What is the environmental stewardship? Then development is tied to sustainable, it's the long living. Then partnership provides access to resources. These are the principal basis how the organization is developed. Then qualities of headmaster and principal. You know, you all people are working maximum as a principal or somewhere else, so they have their own responsibilities. Then qualities of good head teacher. That is courage, passion, emotional intelligence, how to deal with the present situation. That is very important for the headmasters. Then headmasters also. Then judgment, resilience, persuasion, then curiosity. What are the qualities of headmasters? Personal qualities, they are devoted and dedicated. Nowadays, that's why the government is asking for the headmaster should be in the schools. Okay. Then just and fair. Then open-minded people, the personal qualities should be, there should be open-minded. யாரா வந்தாங்கன்னா நம்ம சொல்யூஷன்ஸ் கொடுக்குற மாதிரி அந்த ஹெட்மாஸ்டர்ஸ் இருக்கணும். Self-confidence and courage. Then creative person, they should be identification with work. ஏன்னா நம்ம குடிச்சுக்கோங்க அந்த ஒர்க் அலாட் பண்ணணும், அதை நம்ம ஒர்க் பண்ணுற மாதிரி இருக்கணும். பெயின்ஸ் டேக்கிங், எதுவாக இருந்தால் நம்ம கஷ்டப்பட்டு செய்யறதுக்காக தான் நாங்களாம் இப்போ பிரின்சிபலாக உட்காந்துருக்கோம். சரிங்களா? தென் அப்ஜெக்டிவ் அவுட்லுக், சின்சியர், பங்க்சுவல் அண்ட் ரெகுலர். தென் problem solving centered, etc. இதெல்லாம் these are the personal qualities of the headmasters and headmisters. Then physical qualities. In order to be a good one, should have good physics. தாடி இதெல்லாம் வச்சிட்டு தாடிலாம் ஜீவி வலிச்சு கட்டிட்டு அந்த மாதிரிலாம் போகாம they have certain physical qualities. They should be neat. அப்பதான் அந்த டீச்சிங் கம்யூனிட்டியில் அந்த காலத்தில் சினிமாவில் பார்த்துருப்பீங்க எப்படிலாம் டீச்சர்ஸ் வரணும், ஒரு கொடை பிடிச்சிட்டு கொண்டை போட்டுட்டு. நம்மலாம் இப்போ சிபிஎஸ்சி பேடல பார்த்தா எல்லாம் சுடிதார் போட்டு தான் போறாங்க. who is the student, who is the teacher அப்படின்றத கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியாத அளவுக்கு. The physical quality of a teacher is important. என்னோட டீச்சர்ஸ்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா still they are used to knot their hair. சரிங்களா? அந்த இன்னும் அந்த கொண்டை போடுறதுங்கிறது அந்த கல்ச்சர் அவங்களுக்கு இருக்கு, but we don't have. Then attractive and clean. இப்போ nowadays we are having a trend of free hair. Then later it has changed as without hair, I think. Then attractive and clean appearances. They should look neat. நிறைய பழைய படத்துல எல்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா டீச்சர்னாலும் ஒரு கொண்டை இப்படிதான் சாரி, இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு அட்மாஸ்பியர் தான் அந்த குவாலிட்டி இஸ் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். தட் இஸ் physical is very very important for the teacher. Natural and good manners is important. Regular habit, நம்ம ஜன்னல் வச்சு ஜாக்கெட் போடுறது இதெல்லாம் யார் பண்ணக்கூடாது, ஸ்கூல்ஸ்ல போகும்போது பண்ணக்கூடாது. as a teacher. Then active and smart and strong also. Then social qualities. They are good human relations. They should have a good human relation. வர்றாங்கன்னா கத்திட்டு பேரண்ட்ஸ் வந்து அது ப்ராப்ளம்னா கத்திட்டு அனுப்பக்கூடாது. தே ஷுட் ஹேவ் அ ஃபுல் டச். என்ன ஏது என்னதுல அந்த ஒரு பொறுமை அவங்கள்ட்டலாம் இருக்கணும். குட் ரிலேஷன்ஸ் வித் கலீக்ஸ் ஆல்சோ. Okay, then cooperation, active and socialized children, citizens. They are creating a good citizen, goodwill for all, honest in dealing, devoted to social progress. எப்படி நம்ம எக்ஸ்ட்ரா கரிக்குலர்லாம் நம்ம பிஎட்ல பண்றோம் பார்த்தீங்களா, அந்த மாதிரி devoted to social progress. Then interested to know about others' problems, insight into social problems, creating awareness to eradicate social evils. These are the social qualities of headmasters. The remaining is intellectual quality. They are growing mind, they are initiating capacity, resourcefulness, knowledge of pedagogy is much more important, high intelligence, excellent communication skills, both English, both spoken as well as written, otherwise the others criticize it. Then good exposition and expression, knowledge of child growth and development, sense of systematic, high achiever, knowledge of social problem and positive. What are the emotional qualities that the headmaster has? They have cheerful and pleasant to talk to students or colleagues or subordinates or students. The optimistic outlook. They should have an optimistic outlook. Then enthusiastic and inspiring bent of mind. Emotionally they should be stable. எதுக்கட்டாலும் அழுவது நிச்சயமாக அழுதா என்ன ஸ்கூலு மற்ற குழந்தைங்களாம் நம்மளை பார்த்து அழுவ ஆரம்பிச்சோம். Free from anxiety, conflict and mental tension. Then strong motivation and doing any work, whether they are getting even this during pandemic period, they should have a strong motivation. அவங்க அந்த இடத்துல வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா emotional should be, they should be emotionally balanced. How they can control the schools, how we conduct everything. So there is no harassment by facing confrontations. Needs of research in secondary education. Why the research? There is a need of research in secondary education. This is because it is conducted in order to provide trustworthy information regarding education problems and their solutions. ஏதாவது problems வந்தது அப்படின்னா give a guidance to the secondary education planning. The ontology and epistemology. Ontology is nothing but the basic origin of education research. Then epistemology is the characteristics of research. நம்ம researcher itself in the field to conduct the research. இப்போ நம்ம உட்காந்து CBSE pattern இருக்கு, அந்த pattern இருக்கு, இந்த pattern இருக்குன்னு சொல்றோம். How it is quite useful for the students. சில டைம்ல நிறைய இந்த ABL method, நிறைய method of education system government has implemented. Whether it is functioning properly or this is the need of the committee, that is Secondary Education Planning Commission of Research. They look after all these things, the quality standards, methodology, whether it is apt or not. நிறைய அந்த ஸ்பைரல் கரிக்குலம் நிறைய கொண்டு வந்திருந்தாங்க, இந்த ட்ரீம் மாடல் அப்படின்லாம் சொல்லிட்டு அதெல்லாம் எப்படி how far it is useful or by whether it is teach the students or this is the role of research in secondary education. What is importance of secondary education? Research in India. It gives importance in giving a contribution to the knowledge development, practical improvement and policy decision. That is policy எப்படிலாம் modify பண்ணலாம் அப்படிங்கிறது that is useful for this research in education. That is this findings helpful for the policy makers to do the frame the correct policies. Then areas of research. What are the areas? The organization climate. Then what is the organization climate? That is people oriented, rule oriented, then innovation oriented and goal oriented. So the organization. This is the leadership style. How the leadership is? Leadership is not of motivating a group of people to act towards achieving a common goal. Okay. Then factors influencing effectiveness of teaching learning process. What are the qualities of teachers? By the teaching learning process should be how it is effective. The role of teacher is very very important for communication aspect, knowledge aspect, achievement aspect as well as teachers approach towards students. This is important for the quality of teacher to improve the teaching learning process. These are the factors is important. Then the second factor is students profile. That is students aptitude, attitude, students interest, and then economic status and students awareness level. These are called as students profile. The third one is method of teaching. Whether the teacher uses traditional method or ICT resource method, they are encouraging the students in class, case study method, work, homework, assignment. What kind of methods they are adopting while they are taking the class. Then only the teaching and learning to be effective. Then catering to students' diversity. Based on the learner, whether they have normal children or abnormal children, they are disabled children, based on the students எப்படி இருக்காங்களோ அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி எஜுகேஷன். இந்த குழந்தைங்க எப்படி வளர்றாங்க, whether they are a slow learner or special learner. Okay, based on the remedies. That is, arranging a special coaching classes for advanced learners, special coaching for students with learning disability, autism children, அவங்க யாருக்கு என்ன வேணுமோ அதுக்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி அந்த டைவர்ஸ் லேர்னர்ஸ் தகுந்த மாதிரி அந்த ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் இருக்கணும் பேட்டர்ன் ஆஃப் சிஸ்டம். Then catching the students' diversity, arranging for remedial classes for slow learners, then arranging special coaching classes for advanced learners. இப்போ கூட நம்ம ஸ்கூல்ஸ்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அந்த காம்படிட்டிவ் எக்ஸாமினேஷன்ஸ்க்கு தனியாக கொடுத்த கோச்சிங்ஸ்லாம் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க டீச்சர்ஸ். This also comes under based on the students' level ku tagunda mari. Higher level learner we are giving advanced test, lower level learner we have given remedial test for their progress. Then extension and extracurricular activities, skill oriented activities, seminar, guest lecture, participation in various activities. These are called extension. These are the development of teaching learning process. These are helpful. Then classroom management and culture. Infrastructure like class, timings of lectures, then duration of lectures. This is very, very important for the teachers to maintain the classroom management. Then resources. What are the resources that is available for secondary education? Research can come from various experiences like print media, books, brochures, journals, magazines, newspapers, books, CD-ROMs and other electronic resources like internet, world wide web, www. We are dependent on internet for getting any information. The next one is curriculum. How the curriculum to be. Then examination. What is the examination system that is followed in a country? These are the examination system. Every examination system. This is the last of the 6th unit. We are at the end of the 6th unit. The examination is detailed information about the students' investigation. That's all. In the 6th unit, what are the important questions they are going to ask us? What are the role of headmasters? How the research has been conducted? What are the factors that is effective learning process? These are the questions asking in unit 6. Now let us see about the unit 7. Introduction. In 90% Indian economy has been premised on the concept of planning. That is, under the leadership of Prime Minister, they have planned how the education system to be. The Planning Commission was set up in March 1950. The 5-year plans, every 1940s after independence only we have decided the 5-year plans for education. But was established first 5 years plan draft was established in 1951 and was approved by December 51. 6 months it would take to renovate everything. The first 5-year plan is approved in the Government of India by 1951 in December month. Every 5 years the government is conducting the planning how the education should be, both central government, state government as well as local bodies as well as private bodies, how the education should be. This is based on Planning Commission. National Education Policy, Finance Division, Economic Relation, Internal Resources Division, Planning and Development Academy, the Bangladesh Institute of Development Studies, then Implementation of Monitoring Evaluation Division, Development Ministers, Statistics Wing. These are the Planning Commission framework or structure. How the 5 years, every 5 years, the government has planned. What is Planning Commission? Planning Commission is an institution in the Government of India which formulates India's 5-year plan among other functions. Excuse me. The Planning Commission was set up by the resolution of the Government of India in March 1950. The first issue was 1951 December. They have a first 5-year plan. Declared the objectives of the government to promote the rapid rise in the standard of living of the people by efficient exploitation of the resources of the country. That is, increasing production and offering opportunities for all the employment in the service of the community. The Planning Commission helps in mobilizing and allocating the resources in desired manner. The objectives of Planning Commissions are: it reduces inequality, then economic growth, balanced regional growth, modernization. Each 5-year plan aim at achieving certain targets. The aim of this 5-year plan is to give a government to the achievement in education. So the 5-year plan constitutes the steps towards the fulfillment of the objective of planning commission. Based on the planning commission, they have taken the decision. If the decision is completed, then they have to go for another 5-year plan. Then 5-year plan: objectives, achievements, improvements, investment, and targets. These are the 5 core areas of 5-year plan. First 5-year plan executed in 1951 to 56 under the Prime Minister of Jawaharlal Nehru, presented the first 5-year plan to the Parliament in December 1951 of 8. This plan was based on the Horror model. The plan addressed mainly the agrarian sector, including the investment in dams and irrigation. How the water to be. Every irrigate பண்ணதுன்னு நம்மளால படிக்கிறதுக்கு வர முடியும். அதனால they giving impact to agrarian, that is water management system. The total planned budget is 2069 crores for the allocated as various areas, that is irrigation economy, agriculture, community development, transport, industry, social service, land and other sectors 2.5%. Nowadays government is allotting 5.1% to education system development under the controlship of GDP. Then 5-year plans. 5-year plans form an important portion of the planning process in India under the head of Prime Minister. Tourism, divisions they have sectors. MHRD is one of the aspects of planning commission for 5 years plan. Okay, we have seen about then 5 years plans in a 7th unit, that is UNESCO, UNICEF. These are international agencies, they have funded for this project. Okay, then technology in education. What are the 7th unit comprises of the 5 years plan? Explain about the 5 years plan. What are the sources of funding agencies of 5-year plan, that is world level, state level, India level as well as local authority. Then international funding agencies like World Bank, UNESCO, UNICEF, they are giving importance to education. These are all the we have discussed about the financing position of secondary education. The Planning Commission have taken a decision under the chairmanship of MHRD, and also the Prime Minister, they have allotted some fund for, that is 5.1% of total Indian revenue to education. Then the 8th unit we are going to discuss about this. What is the technology integration in planning and administration of secondary education? What are the technologies that is adopted in secondary education system? That is SEMIS. SEMIS is nothing but Secondary Education Management Information System. This is one of the management systems. Secondary Education Management System, we call it shortly as SEMIS. It is a comprehensive database on secondary and higher secondary education for facilitating planning, monitoring and related secondary education related activities and management under RMSC. Okay, the first one is the SEMIS project, the Secondary Education Management System of India. Then the next one is District Level Information System of Education, that is DISE. The structure of DISE provides a time series of data at school, villages, blocks, and the local level authorities we are collecting information regarding how எவ்வளவு பேர் படிக்க வராங்க, எவ்வளவு பேர் படிக்கல, எவ்வளவு பேர் என்ன படிச்சிருக்காங்க அப்படிங்கிறது நம்ம கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் இந்தியா the education opportunities எப்படி கொடுக்கிறது அப்படிங்கறத மீடியம் எதை கொடுக்கலாம், அந்த children with learning disabilities இருக்காங்க, they should identify the Ministry of Human Resources. அதனால தான் இதுக்கு வந்து எஜுகேஷன்ற பெயர் இல்லாம Ministry of Human Resources, மனித வளம் என்ன இருக்கு, அதுக்கு நம்ம எப்படி எஜுகேஷன் கொடுக்கலாம் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக தான் இந்த டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் கிரியேட் ஆகுது. சரிங்களா? DISE is one of the planning department. Then next one is PMIS. That is Project Information Management System. That is also one of the system of education that is helpful for creating, identifying, collecting, organizing, sharing, adopting and using project information. That is, information management is a process for identifying the project shareholders need to make informed decisions. இது வந்து project related, like project நிறைய பார்த்தீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு அந்த டயட்லயோ இல்ல நம்ம யூனிவர்சிட்டிலயோ some project where government of India is giving or government of Tamil Nadu is giving how to conduct the planning of education system. that is called CMI. Then geographical information system is a computer system that analyzes and displays geographically referenced information. அப்போ நம்ம எந்தெந்த example for use of GIS in earth sciences, biology, resource management and other fields. GIS is nowadays using for analyzing the various concepts of education pattern. What is GIS? Map, analysis, data, software, satellites, carriers and apps. This is geographical information system. இப்படிலாம் நம்ம educationல இதெல்லாம் follow பண்றோம். How they are planning. இப்பெல்லாம் நீங்கள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எவ்வளோ எம்எட் காலேஜஸ் இருக்குது அப்படிங்கிறது இந்த ஜிஎஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணி நீங்கள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா how many colleges are in தமிழ்நாடு having masters of education courses அப்படின்னு போட்டிங்கன்னாவே அந்த சேட்டலைட்டில் உங்களுக்கு எங்கெல்லாம் ரெட் கலரில் ஒரு குங்குமம் மாதிரி வந்து என்ன கொடுத்துறாங்க இன்ஃபர்மேஷன்ஸு எவ்வளோ ஸ்கூல்ஸ் எவ்வளோ காலேஜஸ் எந்த ஏரியாவில் கிக்கா எத்தனை பிஎட் காலேஜஸ் இருக்குது எத்தனை எம்எட் காலேஜ் இது இஸ் கால்ட் ஜியோகிராஃபிக்கல் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் ஆஃப் பிளானிங் அண்ட் அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேஷன். அப்போ அந்த எந்த இடத்துல அந்த மாதிரி அடுத்து ஃபர்தராக ப்ராசஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு ஃபர்தராக ஒரு காலேஜஸ் ஒரு ஸ்கூலில் வந்து என்ன யூஸ்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கணும் ஒரு கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு ஒரு ஐடென்டிட்டி கிடைக்கிறதுக்காக they are integrating the technology for secondary education in order to develop India in a prosperous one. Then school mapping. School mapping is a dynamic process of planning the distribution, size and spacing of schools and physical facilities, requirements of optimum utilization and benefit. School mapping is also helpful for planning. Okay, it's a process of identifying the current inadequacies in distribution and providing appropriate type and pattern of school plans. எப்படிலாம் கொடுக்கலாம் அப்படிங்கிறது school mapping is also helpful. It's a continuous process involving the uninterpreted recording of basic information required for analysis of the school map at any given point in time. School mapping is also helpful. It's an essential planning tool to overcome the possibilities of regional inequalities arising from the investment policies of the government and public authorities. School mapping incorporates spatial and demographic dimensions into the education planning process. Then international linking and networking. That is helpful for the planning of administration. That is international, national and local organization in the community for mutual benefits and assistance needed. The linkages between the networking between schools in the nationwide. It's helpful for language development, professional organizations. It is also helpful for government. There is linkages and network. International linkage and national linkage and local linkage. The networking is networking with professional organizations, networking with foundations, networking with government officers and networking with media. That's all about this. The second one is, and that's all about 8th unit. That is 8th unit is what are the technology integrated in this PEMIS, DISPI, geographical information system. What is SIMS? The questions that we expected in this is what are the uses of SIMS? To give comprehension meaning of SIMS. What is the district information system of education? Describe its parts and information system. The next question is what is PEMIS? Give its detailed meaning. That is PMIS. Then school geographic information GIS. It is explain the information contained there. What is GIS? Like that they are asking. The next question is what is school map? What are the levels according to the school map? The next question is what is school connection? What are the function of school affiliation programs? The next question is what is the technical connection between schools? What are its uses? And how to establish the technical linkage between schools? Okay, these are the expected questions in the unit 8. Now let us see about unit 9. Okay. Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to next slide, that's why I'm asking. The next one is 9th unit. We are going to deal about 9th unit, that is quality enhancement of secondary education. What is the national curriculum framework? how the quality is enhanced. Every 10 years, the 10-year school framework, that is National Curriculum Framework for School Education, they are planning to give a guidelines on how the teaching process or teaching practices that is carried out. Okay, in the past 1975, they have general science as a compulsory subject. They have taken the decision, the National Curriculum Framework. In 1988, the science curriculum should be learner-centered. It develop a well-defined abilities in cognitive, affective and psychomotor domains. After 10 years, they are giving a guidelines regarding this. Then later on in 2000, they have one more National Curriculum Framework body. They have developed order the science study. The teaching of science and technology in upper and secondary school as a part of environment studies in primary recommended. In 2005, they are focused of learning without burden, without books. How they are going for schools. That is reduction in syllabus. That is 2005, they have framed the curriculum like this. The curriculum for 10 years school as a framework in 1975. The national curriculum every 10 years they have forming. This is to help to keep the educational effort in step with the changing time. The national curriculum framework for elementary and secondary education they established in 1988. The reorientation of curricular and curricular materials to make them more child-centered implementation, that is CCE, continuous and comprehensive evaluation. That is National Curriculum Framework on School Education in 2000. After that, they have lot of plans. The government has implemented. They are giving importance. The integrated and thematic approach emphasis on the empirical education integration of language and mathematics. The first 2 years schooling, it involves the preparation of teachers in planning, implementing and evaluate the curriculum. They are giving importance to which curriculum they are going to get. The NCA, National Curriculum Framework in 1975 recommended 10+2 system of education, that is general education up to 10th. Then after that they have specialized education. Okay. The national curriculum in the 2000 itself they have created some information based on the requirement of the conditions of schools as well as community. This is important due to various types of imbalances and differences of basis of caste, religion, gender and language. They are giving importance to equal access. That is after 2000, they are giving an equal education opportunity will be given to all. That is called equalization of education opportunity by National Curriculum Framework as well as National Policy on Education. They are giving importance to equalization of education, irrespective of caste and gender. Schools must restore and sustain universal values oriented towards the integration of moral and spiritual growth. This is also the curriculum framework. Then value education, they are giving importance to value education. Then value education, in order to avoid dishonesty, violence, corruption, exploitation, they are giving importance to value education. That's why the Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University have one of the department of value education to inculcate the good values to the students. The value education should be introduced at an early stage in school education. Then comparative study of religion should be introduced at secondary and higher education level. The National Education Framework in 2000, 2 years pre-primary school education for every child to ensure equity and also ensure readiness to learn among children and reduce unhealthy and harmless load on children. Then emphasize on pleasure, perception and participation of children. Nowadays we are giving more importance to affective part of domain in school system of education. The next one is Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. It's one of the quality enhancement issues of Government of India, that is Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. It's a centrally sponsored scheme of the Ministry of MHRD. That is by Government of India for the development of secondary education in public schools throughout India. This is one of the organizations that is developed for the quality enhancement in India, that is RMSA. It was launched in March 2009. The implementation of the scheme has started from 9 to 10 to provide conditions for the efficient growth and development, also giving importance to equivalent, that is equity for all, giving equalization of education to all. This is the main aim of RMSA. The scheme includes a multi-dimensional research, technical consulting and various implementation and funding support. This is based on RMSA. Then need of RMSA. The government of India is launched in 2007 centrally sponsored scheme of Rashtriya Madhya Shiksha Abhiyan RMSA for universalization of access and to the improvement of quality at the secondary and higher education stage. This is the need of RMSA, that is Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. Since education is a concurrent subject as part of the constitution in the Indian federal system, so central and state government are policy and decision makers on this subject. Okay? Then the RMSA is therefore a crucial step to prepare the state government and UTs to take up the goal of universalization of secondary education. The main aim of this objective is to enrollment rate from the RMSA implement the scheme கொண்டு வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் நம்ம இந்தியாவில் எஜுகேஷன் ரேட் 52% 75% இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆச்சு. ஸோ எல்லாத்துக்கும் கல்வி கிடைக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிருச்சு. இந்த aim of this RMSA is to increase the education learning, the teaching learning process. The objective is to எல்லாத்துக்கும் கல்வி கிடைக்கணும் அப்படிங்கறதுக்காக கொண்டு வந்தது. அதனால தான் the government of India have taken a decision in 2005 and appointed a scheme called Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. அதுதான் 52% இருந்த இந்த ரேஷியோவை 75% இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணிச்சு. சரிங்களா? இன்ஃப்ராஸ்ட்ரக்சர் அண்ட் இன்ஃப்ராஸ்ட்ரக்சர் ஃபெசிலிட்டிஸ். nowadays ஆன்லைன் எஜுகேஷன் ஆயிடுச்சு நம்மளுக்கு இல்ல. ஹை ஸ்பீட் கனெக்டிவிட்டி டு ஸ்கூல்ஸ், இன்டர்நெட் கொடுத்தாங்க, டேட்டாஸ் எல்லாம் கொடுக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க, டிஜிட்டல் ரிசோர்சஸ் டீச்சர்ஸை கிரியேட் பண்ணி எல்லாம் கொண்டு வர்றதுக்கு டீச்சிங் லேர்னிங் இப்போ எல்லாம் நம்ம இருந்த இடத்துலேருந்து கல்வி சேனல் அதில் எல்லாம் நம்ம படிச்சுக்கலாம். சரிங்களா? ஹை ஸ்பீட் இன்டர்நெட் டேட்டாஸ் எல்லாமே கவர்மெண்ட்ஸில் ப்ரொவைட் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சாங்க. வாட் இஸ் த டிஃபரன்ஸ் பிட்வீன் சூப்பர்வைசர் and inspection? What are the inspection facilities that is given by the government of India we have dealt through RMSA? Then supervision versus inspection. What is supervision? It is a fault finding. Inspection is a fault finding and fact finding act. How they can control, how the quality is controlled by either by supervision or by inspection. The quality is controlled by the two terms, that is inspection and supervision. Through this the education system in nowadays has very good quality. In supervision is for the hands of assistance given to the professional colleagues in the process of instructional delivery. ஏதாவது தப்பு இது பண்ணியிருக்காங்களா அப்படின்றத கண்டுபிடிக்கிறதுக்காக தான் இந்த இன்ஸ்பெக்ஷன் சூப்பர்விஷன். ஸ்கூல்லலாம் வராங்க பாருங்க, இன்ஸ்பெக்டர்ஸ்லாம் வந்து செக் பண்ணுறது, அதை சூப்பர்வைஸ் பண்ணி எப்படி how the education system should be managed. These are authority of quality enhancement of secondary education in India. Then professional development and management of teachers. How it is professionally we are giving importance to the teachers for the development of and management. Then masters efficient ways of teaching. Then improve the classroom management ability, improve the leadership ability. Then institutions providing professional development course. How it is developed. So இது வரைக்கும் how the quality is enhanced, how the quality is developed by Government of India. The 9th unit dealt about what are the policies, that is 10-year plan, how the education for mentally challenged, what is alternative school, what is open schooling, explained alternative education practices in public schools, what are the educational methods for visually challenged schools, theory and impact schools, and about என்னென்னலாம் இது வரைக்கும் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க, என்னென்ன 10-year plan இருக்கு. சாரி, I am going to ask telling about the 9th unit. What are the important questions? What are the 10-year plan? What is RMSA? What is the SA program? What is supervision and inspection and their functions? What are the career development of teacher? What are the methods of developing the career development of teachers? These are the questions that they are asking in unit 9. Now we will deal about unit 10. The 10th is what kinds of education. So far we have seen what are the, who is the governors of secondary education, who is the controller, how the quality is improved. இது வரைக்கும் நம்ம நிறைய பார்த்துட்டோம். வாட் இஸ் செகண்டரி எஜுகேஷன் பார்த்தோம் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் யூனிட்ல. செகண்ட் யூனிட்ல என்னென்ன கமிட்டிஸ் ஹவு தே ஆர் கண்டக்டிங் தி செகண்டரி எஜுகேஷன் எப்படிலாம் பிளான் பண்ணாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் கம்பேரிட்டிவ் ஆஃப் செகண்டரி எஜுகேஷன் இன் வேரியஸ் கண்ட்ரீஸ் லைக் US, UK, அமெரிக்கா, தென் ரஷ்யா, சைனா அண்ட் ஃபின்லாண்ட். The later on who is the governing authority, யாரோட கண்ட்ரோல்ல நம்ம வந்து இருக்கோம் அப்படிங்கறத we should know. central government authorities state authorities அதெல்லாம் பார்த்தோம். அதுக்கப்புறம் how it is planned, centralized and decentralized, then how it is organized, then who is the financial authority of giving support for education, and the 7th unit. Then the 8th unit is what are the planning system is available for improving the quality of education in India. Then also the last unit is what are the kinds of alternative trends in secondary education, what kind of education they are giving, என்னென்ன type of schools இருக்கு, என்னென்ன education systems இருக்கு அப்படிங்கறத final unit. These are the planning and administration of secondary education. Yeah, the teachers நம்ம டீச்சரா இருக்கவங்க we should know who is the authority, how the secondary education is going on. எல்லாமே நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக தான் இந்த பேப்பர் நம்ம படிக்கணும். ஓகேங்களா? The last unit is public schools. If the school is maintained by public expense for the education of children of a community or district that constitute a part of a system of free public education, commonly including primary and secondary schools. Okay? Then international schools. International schools promote international level education. That is edXL education, Cambridge assessment. We call it as international schools. We are comparing our curriculum with international curriculum, and then government of India also providing the opportunity for international curriculum that we have studied in India. Okay, the National Institute of Open Schooling. What is National Institute of Open Schooling? நிறைய பேருக்கு தெரியாது. What is National Institute of Open Schooling அப்படிங்கிறது? Those who are having other talent for not only for an education, நம்ம படிக்கணும் படிச்சுதான் இப்படி வரணும் இல்லாம ஒரு ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ்ல டேலண்டோ இல்ல வேற ஏதோ ஒரு எக்ஸ்ட்ரா கரிக்குலர் ஆக்டிவிட்டியில நம்ம டேலண்டட் பர்சனா இருந்து ஒரு 7-8 வரும்போது we have ஒரு ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு அத்லெட் ஒரு பெரிய நேஷனல் லெவல்ல ஏசியன் லெவல்ல நம்ம கொண்டு வர அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கவங்க படிக்கிறதுக்காக கிரியேட் பண்ணதுதான் கவர்மெண்ட்ல நேஷனல் இன்ஸ்டிடியூட் ஆஃப் ஓப்பன் ஸ்கூலிங் is a board which allows the students to appear for the secondary and senior secondary level courses. This motto is Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. அனைவருக்கும் கல்வி கிடைக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிற அந்த ஹிந்தி Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Equal of education, equalization of education for all, education for all. அதுக்காக தான் இந்த National Institute of Open Schooling. அவங்க ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ்ல மட்டும் போனா they don't have get an education in the regular schools. So this is created by Government of India. ஸ்கூலுக்கெல்லாம் யாரும் போக முடியாம அந்த மாதிரி ஒர்க் பண்றாங்களோ அவங்களுக்காக கிரியேட் பண்றது நேஷனல் இன்ஸ்டிடியூட் ஆஃப் ஓப்பன் ஸ்கூலிங். தென் ஸ்பெஷல் ஸ்கூலிங் அண்ட் ஹோம் ஸ்கூலிங். ஹோம் ஸ்கூலிங் ஆர் ஹோம் ஸ்கூலிங் இஸ் நோன் அஸ் ஹோம் எஜுகேஷன், அதாவது வீட்டில இருந்தே நம்ம படிக்கிறது, தட் இஸ் ஹோம் ஸ்கூல்ஸ். தென் ஸ்பெஷல் ஸ்கூலிங். What is special schools? Those who have a special problem. This type of schools is called as special schools. For visually impaired have a visual schools, and like that based on the defect they have impairments. This various schools are there. That is visually you have seen blind people la eppadi padipanga அப்படிங்கிறது அதுக்காக கொடுத்த schools தான் the visually impaired schools. Then hearing impaired, those who are not having hearing ability, in that they have conducting the Government of India and Government of Tamil Nadu also conducting various schools in hearing impairment. காது கேட்காதவங்க எல்லாம் என்ன பண்ணணும், அவங்களும் படிக்கணும் அவங்களும் வரணும் அப்படின்னா இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஸ்கூல் பேட்டர்ன். சரிங்களா? This is called hearing impairment schools. Then intellectual disability schools. This is we call it as special schools nowadays. Intellectual disability. கொஞ்சம் அவங்க நல்ல ஒரு படிச்சு வர்றது புரிஞ்சுக்கிற தன்மை இல்லாதவங்களுக்காக கொண்டு வந்ததுன்னா this is called intellectual disability school. சரிங்களா? Special school we call it as. And multiple disability. That is autism. ஒவ்வொருத்தருக்கும் ஒவ்வொரு ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்கு. அதையெல்லாம் கண்டுபிடிச்சு அதுக்கான ஸ்பெஷலா ஸ்கூல், ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் மோட்டார் டிசபிலிட்டி, லேர்னிங் டிசபிலிட்டி, இமோஷனல் டிஸ்டர்பன்சஸ், ஒரு இடத்துல உட்காந்துட்டு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நான் 1 மணி நேரம் கிளாஸ் எடுத்துக்கேன் அதனால கவனிச்சதுனால வி ஆர் நார்மல் சில்ட்ரன், அந்த ஒரு கெப்பாசிட்டி இல்லாத குழந்தைங்களுக்காக உருவாக்குறது தான் அந்த மல்டிபிள் ஸ்கூல்ஸ், தட் இஸ் மல்டிபிள் டிசபிலிட்டி ஸ்கூல்ஸ். சரிங்களா? அடுத்து ஆக்டிசம் ஸ்கூல். ஆக்டிசம் ஸ்கூல் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் ASD. அவங்களோட டெவலப்மெண்டல் கண்டிஷன்ஸ்ல ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்குது, ஸ்பீச்ல கொஞ்சம் டிலேடு ஸ்பீச், இன்டராக்ஷன் லேட் ஆகுது, நார்மல் கம்யூனிகேஷன் லேட் ஆகுது, ரெப்படிட்டிவ் பிஹேவியர் இருக்குது, இந்த மாதிரி இருக்க குழந்தைகளுக்காக கொண்டு தான் ஆக்டிசம் ஸ்கூல். ஆக்டிசம் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் டிசபிலிட்டி, இஸ் டிலேடு டெவலப்மெண்ட், இஸ் கால்ட் அஸ் ஆக்டிசம். சரிங்களா? அப்நார்மலிட்டிஸ் இன் பிரெயின் ஸ்ட்ரக்சர், இந்த மாதிரி இருக்கவங்களுக்காக தான் இந்த ஸ்பெஷல் ஸ்கூல்ஸ். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் they are affected by neurotic problems, அந்த மாதிரி லேர்னிங் டிசபிலிட்டி. Learning disability is a neurological disorder. சரிங்களா? பிரெயின்ல அதுதான் லேர்னிங் டிசபிலிட்டி சில்ட்ரன். They have their own special schools. Then inclusive schools. Nowadays government is not அவங்கள செக்ரிகேட் பண்ணாம ஓரளவுக்கு நார்மலா இருந்தாங்க, எல்லாமே இருந்தது, ஐ மட்டும் தான் இல்லைன்னா they are getting inclusive school of education system. Okay, thank you for your attention. These are the alternative trends for school education system in India. Okay, ma? Thank you for giving me the opportunity given by Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, especially thank you, ma. Thank you for listening my words. I think few of them have benefited in my lecture. Thank you for all. Divya?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, participants. Participants, if you any queries, put on the chat box.
Questions in Unit 10, they are asking, ma'am.
Unit 10. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, they are asking questions in alternative schools they are expecting. There is nothing but international school, public schools, explain the alternative education practices in public schools in the Unit 10. Then explain the education structure and educational activities in the international schools. And what are alternative schools? What is explain about national open schooling, that is NIOS. And then what is special school? What are the types of special school? I have explained visually impaired schools, hearing impaired, and then mentally impaired, retarded person schools. Inclusive education. What is meant by inclusive education? What are the merits and demerits of inclusive education? What is autism? How to teach children with autism? Okay.
Ma'am, Pravina asked, please guide us by giving tips for exam paper presentation.
Enama?
Pravina asked, please guide us by giving tips for exam paper presentation.
I have given all the slides, all the information I have given you, ma'am, Pravina. Based on that, just keep it in your mind. This is an open examination nowadays. You don't worry about the Pravina. You just go through the syllabus first, okay? And the first unit itself, they have explained about the structure of secondary education. What are the aims and objectives of secondary education? Then historical perspectives, how the committees developed. Then comparative education, when comparing our education system with other education system. In UK they call it as form, in US they call it as grade. Now in India we call it as classes. Like that they have a separate system. Then what are the governing bodies of secondary education system, who is under the control of MHRD or whatever may be. Then planning commission. What are the different type of planning commission principles? Based on that, you just unit title vechituma adukku thavunda mari neenga prepare pannunga, it's quite useful for you. Ipo na illa 10 units full ah ungalku thorough பண்ணிருக்கேன். நீங்க என்ன பண்றீங்கன்னா இதுக்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி நீங்க படிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சா it's quite useful. சரிங்களா? One second. I'll send you a slide, ma'am. Slides to you. Okay, just contact Divya. I'll send it everything to you. Okay, ma'am? Thank you, Divya. Thank you,
ma'am.
Dr. for giving me the opportunity for 1 hour class regarding this planning and administration of higher education. Sorry, secondary education. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am?
Start karla?
Illa ma'am.
Okay.
Ipada left ananga ma'am, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Shall I wind up, ma'am?
Okay, then.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.